Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Solving Standard. I'm Corbin Hostler, and this is Big Red. Now, this hand, I won't lie, this hand might be a little greedy, keeping it because of Wily Goblin. And I actually thought, in my defense, I actually thought I was on the draw when I clicked keep, but I am on the play. This deck is pretty fun, and if this hand draws land, it's going to be pretty good. If we just peel off 3-4 lands in a row here, look at all the value. We'll see. Our opponent did mulligan for what it's worth. It looks like we're not going to be under a ton of pressure. Not exactly a land. Chandra is a good draw, though. If we rip land off the top next turn, we can play a turn 3 Chandra, which is honestly probably one of the only ways we beat a... Okay, interesting. Okay, I was going to say, if it's an approach deck, that, I won't lie, is a bad matchup for us, but it is... Okay, all right. Give me a... Oh, no. All right. Rip-a-roni. Our deck has a sideboard plan for Search for Azcanta decks, but it does not have a great Game 1 plan for him. That said, if we had resolved a Chandra here, we would have been in a pretty good spot. Unfortunately, it didn't quite happen. But hey, I guess we got the Wily Goblin beatdown going, so, you know, what could go wrong? What more do you need? Well, needed something that wasn't that. All right. Looks like... You know, it was a bad keep regardless. I did think I was on the draw, though. No, our opponent has no fear. Cycle those cast outs. We have a couple Field of Ruins in the deck specifically. And there we go. That is not bad. I don't have a lot of hope in this Chandra resolving, but we'll see what we can do. We might have a second one if we can draw land. We've been disallowed. Okay, well, you know what? Wily Goblin doesn't care about your disallow. It's still coming on in. All right, well, here's the thing. Our opponent has 4 cards in hand, which isn't too many, I suppose. Search for Azcanta hasn't flipped, and when it does, we actually do have an answer with Field of Ruin here. If we can find a land and try to get some more Chandra in play. That was not a Chandra. I will play it. If 1 Wily Goblin beatdown is good, 2 is OP. So we've got that going for us. No, you got to give me a Wily... Okay, just a Glimmer. If you counter a Wily Goblin, tilt City over here. So this will put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our opponent will probably be able to bottom something with Search and flip it, which means we may have to spend our next turn Field of Ruining it, which doesn't feel great, but... Basically, this standard format, it's hard to build a deck that has positive matchups against aggro decks while also having good Search for Azcanta matchups. But you know what? I think you're more likely, especially at an F&M level, to run into creature decks. All right, well, I guess we can get the beatdown going. Maybe our opponent will play Settle the Wreckage and help us out. No, maybe not. All right. I think that I just have to Field of Ruin out our opponent here. To be honest, I don't think we can mess around to give them any more cards. They obviously have an answer to our Chandra at this point. We just need to take care of this while we can. And this we don't burn our treasure this way either. Well, Search for Azcanta, a very good card. In this case, I suppose it just cycled, right? They turned Search into whatever they're, searching for here, whereas we just traded a land for it. All of which would be fine if our opponent was about to just, cast Approach of the Second Sun or what have you. Or just another Search. That's all pretty good against us. These Wily Goblins continue to do work, though. Just saying. The sideboard plan is pretty decent. We have a bunch of discard, essentially, we board into. All right, we'll try a Chandra. Shockingly, it did not resolve. So a few things, if we do get to a point, it's unlikely, right? But if we do manage to resolve Sunbird's Invocation, I will note that it goes toe-to-toe with Search. We get 2 spells, more sort of, maybe not necessarily in this matchup, but there's the approach. So I would say we're basically dead. Here's a Field of Ruin. The problem with the deck here is that we basically have no answers in game 1 to that card. Although it is good that we can, because we drew this other Field of Ruin, we've now resolved Sunbird's Invocation, but we can force our opponent to shuffle with Field of Ruin, which we might just die here, obviously. Okay, fair enough. All right, pretty skillful. Now, approach decks are going to be pretty real in the new standard, I think. All right, so here's what we've got working here. We've got the 3 Doomfalls. We've got 2 Direfleet Daredevils, which is worse against blue-white than it is against some of the other the black-based decks, but it's still pretty decent. And we can board out a bunch of this removal that we don't need. All right, I suppose we just we don't need a braid. I think it depends what we think our opponent's boarding into, if they board into Regal Caracals or not. I guess if they do that, I'd rather have Sweltering Suns, assuming I know what Regal Caracal does. May want to double check on that. Let's see. Yes, Regal Caracal is a 3/3. So if we're keeping some sort of removal thing in the deck, this is certainly the best one here. We could cut this. The problem is Ribbons is actually kind of a decent win condition in the late game. We can cut a Glorybringer. Not exactly a lot of things to Glory bring out here. Maybe it's better to cut Gear Hulk, actually. Glorybringer costs 1 less, at least. All right, don't need the sprays, don't need the Gleaming Barriers. Don't need the Hour of Devastations. I think this is pretty reasonable here. Yeah, we'll give it a shot. So we have Duresses, we have Direfleet Daredevils. Basically, you only get an opt or something, but it is a 2-mana threat, at least, that can provide value as well. We'll play first. Yeah, I guess I'm going to keep this. It's not insane, but it has a lot of good cards in the matchup. Treasure Map on turn 2 into Captain Lannery Storm into Chandra is at least a curve. Oh, they do have black in the deck. All right. So it's Esper approach. Okay, well, maybe that means we'll have a few more targets of Captain Lannery Storm. Depends if they duress or opt or whatever. I'm sorry, not Lannery Storm, Direfleet guy on in our deck. All right, so let's go ahead and see if we can resolve Captain Lannery Storm. Hopefully he sneaks past an Essence Scatter here, but suppose we are... Yes, doesn't sneak past a Censor, that's for sure. The good news is Treasure Map is a card advantage engine in the late game. The bad news is we've drawn a bunch of lands. All right, there's a Wily Goblin. I'm just going to go ahead and play the Wily Goblin here. Pump the brakes just a little, given that our opponent probably has an answer to Chandra. This way we can start pushing on Treasure Map, which is important. We do need to find some action, some duress, that sort of thing. I think that's a threat. Not a great threat, though. It is a threat, though. All right. I will take threats. All right, we'll give Rekindling Phoenix a shot here. So hopefully we run our opponent through some counters here and we can get Chandra into play. Yeah, disallow expected. All right, so yeah, Chandra is, I think, the most important thing to resolve here. That said, we need to find a duress or something like that. That would be pretty good. It's also worth noting, if you have enough mana, you can play the Dire Fleet, whatever, to be able to cast their counterspell until the end of the turn. Are they what is this? Cast out on our treasure map. Wow, okay, that means we will get to resolve Chandra and get a scry here. Yeah, don't want to draw that one. All right, Field of Ruin. I'm going to go ahead and save that until they show us a search for Azcanta. I don't actually know, I won't lie, if it's search for Azcanto or Azcanta. I've heard it said both ways. I don't know. I just know that I hope the merfolk find it and win it, or take the Immortal Sun, or whatever it is that's happening in Amonkhet. As you can tell, I'm clearly an expert in lore, you know, Vorthos over here. All right, so let's go ahead and start pinging our opponent here. I can just play Wily Goblin. Why not? This gets us more if our opponent, you know, just untaps and casts out, or Ixalan bindings our Chandra. At least then we have something that in play lasts a little bit longer. All right, main phase Glimmer from our opponent. This is not the worst for us, right? This is, especially now, if we get untap with all of our mana in Chandra, we might actually get to play something pretty good here. We'll have a shot at 2 cards while getting the all-important Wily Goblin beatdown in. Imagine if we had had a Captain Lannery Storm here, though. That would have been extremely good, stacking up these treasures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, okay. All right, there's a Duress. I like it. Let's go ahead and start by plussing the Chandra, though. Cut. And I don't... Is this 1/2? I don't understand exactly what I'm looking at here. I don't want to cast it, though. I mean, maybe I do, but I'm not going to. All right, so we will Duress our opponent. See what we're looking at. Those are cards. They have Ixalan's Binding. They have everything. Argyle's Bloodfast is an interesting one. Approach of the Second Sun. Worth noting, they do not have mana to cast it, though they went top. Well, they went top with Glimmer and then drew. We can't take the Gear Hulk. We are working towards a Chandra Ultimate, though, and we can just block Gear Hulk. I think the way to win might be to take the Ixalan's Binding, so they can't use it on Chandra, and hope that they basically whiff on lands for approach, and then we ultimate Chandra. I think that's what I'm hoping for here. All right, yeah, we'll get on there with these Wily Goblins. Like I said, it's actually possible I wanted to cast that cut and just take out one of my own goblins for the ability to, you know, then drain my opponent for 6 or 7 with it. That is a reasonable line. Opponent might just main phase Glimmer here. Main phase Gear Hulk Glimmer. But that keeps us in... Okay, they're going to keep it up. That keeps us in line with the plan to Chandra Ultimate for the win. Would like to draw... I'd like something non-landy here, though. Dragon's... I'm not going to get it, I guess. Alright, well, let's hope this is good enough when we get to resolve a Chandra Ultimate. Unfortunately, you do need to cast spells for Chandra Ultimate to do anything. Although, you know, our opponent... This is, I think, the best line to winning, but our opponent does get to Gear Hulk into Glimmer. You know, obviously, we just flooded out this game. Our opening hand was solid, but at the end of the day, we've cast 1, 2, 3, 4 spells. 5, I guess. There was a treasure map in there. And then this Goblin came off of Chandra, so... Yeah, and it's hard to win many games when you're on that distribution of lands and spells. We also know our opponent is sitting on very good cards here. So we're not going to get to resolve much. And there's the Bloodfast. So it's negate and approach, and we drew yet another land, huh? I guess we'll cycle this one. There's a Sunbird's Invocation. Yeah, I think I just have to take the emblem here. Oh, we're going to get disallowed. Opponent found disallow, I guess. Good news is we will get to resolve. We will get to resolve a Sunbird's Invocation, though. So we've got some value here. We got it past the negate. And this is pretty decent if we can top deck our way out of this one. The issue being that our opponent has the approach in hand, so we don't have a lot of time here. This game was close. You know, sideboard plan worked okay. If we'd floated out just a little less, you know, one more into duress or something in there, might have had a better shot. Okay. Sunbird's Invocation and Sunbird's Invocation. Why not? Let's see what we can get. Hopefully something good. That's a lot of things we can cast, including another Sunbird. Do we want 3 Sunbird Invocations and then hope to top deck? I think I'd probably take Chandra and plus Chandra, though. Could take Glorybringer and attack. I think I want Chandra. All right, so we have 2 Invocations next turn. As a matter of fact, we have 2 Invocations. Well, we won't be casting this from our hand, I suppose. And it's a mountain we're not going to get anyways. All right. Well, there are reasons to be hopeful. If our opponent doesn't have a lot of ways to dig through their deck, and we know that the hand is, they have a negate of their 3 cards. One of them is negate. But every spell we cast, we get a lot of activations of Sunbird's Invocation off of. But our opponent just has another approach, so we don't get to play Magic. Oh, this card is so dumb. Well, that's too bad, because that was a pretty fun game, actually. We almost got there. We were a duress or 2 away, or a Doomfall, or what have you, from actually being able to make some progress there. But, oh well, that's the way it goes. It was a fun game. But thanks for watching.